Welcome back. We're talking about how women can reduce their risks for fibroids. And you can join us in this discussion by calling 0808-054-2233. And you can also send us tweet at yourme_o. Doctor, I said we're going to talk more about fibroids and fertility or infertility. You mentioned earlier that, depending on the location, fibroids will stay, in the womb that the baby should stay. So what's the relationship there? Can a woman with fibroids still get pregnant, or can fibroids prevent pregnancy?
Very good question. Can fibroids prevent pregnancy? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that fibroid could, based on its location, block the fallopian tubes. And the fallopian tubes are the pathway through which pregnancy occurs, because all pregnancies occur in the tube before it migrates into the womb to find a place in the endometrial cavity to implant. So if by any happenstance the fibroid nodule obliterates the tubes are two, and if both are blocked by fibroids, then conception becomes very difficult, because fertilization may occur, but the transport of the zygote into the endometrium for implantation becomes impossible. On the other hand, if the fibroid is located within where the baby will stay, or many fibroid nodules are located where the baby will stay, then the competition for the site of implantation becomes difficult.
Okay,
and if it's implant.
Okay,
yes.
Sorry, doctor. Let's be joined by Anthony. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question for the doctor.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, so in the case where someone has been diagnosed of fibroids and the person doesn't want surgery, but there's also no bleeding at this stage, can the person just leave the situation like that? Is there a risk to not having surgery? That's my question.
Thank you, Anthony.
Good question. It's not all cases of fibroid that we say you must have operation. Like I said, fibroid may not prevent pregnancy from occurring. And if it does not, then why do you have to do the surgery? It is when the symptoms have become so overbearing, like too much bleeding, heavy periods that leads to anemia, blood transfusion, etc. Then, of course, you know that you have to remove such fibroids to give the woman a good health, the pain, and then to reduce that hemorrhage. It's been in the Bible. A woman suffering from hemorrhage. But we are not Jesus Christ. We only can do what Jesus taught us, the surgical aspect of removing the fibroids, etc. Not all cases need surgery. There are only special cases, selected cases that need surgery.
So if it is not problematic?
If it is not problematic, you leave it.
Okay, you were talking about fibroids and fertility. So if it stays there and the baby is there, what kind of situation will that be?
Oh, they will coexist very well. There are situations where the fibroid and the baby coexist till term, from the beginning to the end. But it needs monitoring by the specialists so that problem situations can be arrested early. But such pregnancies are termed high-risk pregnancies because you really have to observe from the beginning to the end. And depending again on the location, we say such people must have delivery by the abdominal section, by abdominal route, because it's very dangerous to say, I have a fibroid of this size and you want to have your baby naturally. Situations about that, yes, the baby could be delivered naturally, but when you have postpartum hemorrhage, there's not much you can do. At that time, you cannot do any fibroidectomy or any surgery, and the bleeding begins to become overwhelming. No amount of medications you give that helps that bleeding to stop, and that can lead to infant mortality. Then, rather, maternal mortality, and people begin to say all sorts of things. So that advice by the doctor, if you have certain fibroid location and you are pregnant, because baby and fibroid can coexist normally. That's no problem with that. But there are situations where the baby and the fibroid cannot coexist. And such are either terminated early, naturally. In that case, what do?
Take the option of surgery.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go back to treatment. Anthony asked the question, you know, if it's not problematic, can we live it? Just this, when I was coming, I saw a place, something about fibroids, and I'm wondering, okay, what could be going on in such a place? There are several people claiming to be able to do something about fibroids. Some say it can be you can melt it, you don't need surgery. So tell us about the treatment or management of fibroids.
What we as orthodox doctors know is that fibroids can be treated medically and surgically. Medically, the treatment we give is to probably shrink the fibroids to a certain level.
Okay, sorry, doctor. Please hold your thought. We'll go back to it. David is calling from Abuja.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
I want to ask a question.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask the doctor a question. The issue of fibroid, he was able to give an age limit from where the fibroid will start and where the age will get to where the fibroid will stop. I want to ask, when a woman attains the age of 50,
hello, David.
Hello?
Go ahead, please.
When the woman attains the age of 50 and if she has fibroid before, can the fibroid stop then? When she's no longer, when she has entered into the menopause?
All right, David. Thank you for calling.
Good question. Very interesting. Now, a woman at 50 that has fibroids, if she is still menstruating normally, let's say periods are still regular, the fibroids will still grow. However, if she is in the perimenopausal state, such that the menses are no longer as regular as it is, or she's going into menopause soon, then the fibroid may stop growing, but it does not disappear. Rather than disappear, stop growing, it becomes calcified. It starts aging, becomes more like bony tissue, becomes whitish. So by the time you remove them, you find that they are more like golf balls or tennis balls, because calcification means that calcium is beginning to form and is beginning to turn into something like bone. So that's what happens for older women. The fibroid doesn't get bigger, but it gets harder.
Okay, so you were talking about the treatment.
Yes, back to the treatment. What we know as orthodox doctors is using medications to stem the growth of the fibroid.
Okay, I think the cause, we need to take Ahmed from Auchi. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am.
Thank you for joining us. Please go ahead.
Yeah, please, I want to ask, if somebody gets through CS and they try the tube, can the person have fibroids?
Sorry, when someone goes through CS?
Yes.
And what? Oh, did you get that?
I didn't get it.
Okay, you can try, call him back. So please, let's quickly land on the treatment.
So we don't quickly jump into surgery to say you have fibroid surgery. No. We advise you. We look at it, the merits of having surgery, or if, depending on your age, you're a young woman, 25 years of age, just married, you have fibroid, you have no children. We will be very careful to say you have to need surgery. If the fibroid is not obstructing you are getting pregnant, if it is not the reason for being, they're not getting pregnant. In any case, you're a young woman, 25 years of age. We have to wait quite a number of years to see if you can get pregnant. When you don't, we have to have beyond all reasonable doubts that this fibroid is what is responsible for getting pregnant.
Okay.
Then we take it out.
Okay, quickly as we close now. On Twitter, Yoruba Delta Girl at Ejembi Venture is asking the question, how can we prevent fibroids?
How do we prevent fibroids? Well, one is, like we talk about diet, run away from things that we have said could help accelerate the growth of fibroid. That also will help prevent development of fibroid. If you had your menses as early as 10 years of age, the propensity to developing fibroid is higher at older ages. If you started your menses later, at 13, 14, 15, you're more likely not to have fibroid early. So prevention is, as far as fibroid is concerned, is difficult to say. How do you prevent it? You cannot change your color from being black to being white.
Yes.
And you cannot say you will not eat certain foods that is prevalent in your society. But
we should eat more fruits, vegetables, okay,
and avoid certain foods that contain estrogens.
Thank you so much for coming on today on Health Matters.
Thank you very much.
And thank you all for joining us today. Let's do this again next week. I am Yomi Otaigbe. Do have a blessed day.